What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sector for Nerds, and welcome to another episode of Star Wars The Clone Wars Retro Discussions. Today we're going to be talking about Season 2, Episode 8, Brain Invaders, the final episode of this Geonosis arc. This episode was directed by Stuart Lee and written by Andrew Kreisberg. The cookie for this episode: attachment is not compassion. Make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel. And as a reminder, you guys, starting February 21st, I am going to be giving you guys new weekly discussions on Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 3. Make sure you guys subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Alright, you guys, it's that time of the day. Allow me to introduce you to the Legend Killer, the Apex Predator, the Viper. Intro guy, take it away. Victory on Geonosis! After a massive assault, the Republic has finally recaptured the Separatist planet and shut down its droid factories of doom. An investigation by Luminar Unduli led to the discovery of Queen Karina the Great, whose hive mind could reanimate dead Geonosian soldiers. During the destruction of the Queen's Temple, the Jedi apprehended her advisor, Poggle The Lesser, and now prepare to deliver the villain to Coruscant for trial. Thank you, intro guy. Man, all these nicknames he's been giving me for the last couple weeks, I swear I've heard them all before. So this episode is all about Ahsoka and Barriss. We get the two Padawans back. They're making a medical supply run to Ord Cestus. And the reason for this is because there's a bit of a complication. Master Windu, his forces are on Dantooine. His men are in need of medical attention. Now, it's funny that they bring up Dantooine and Master Windu because for those who have watched the Micro series, I think y'all know what this is in reference to. I absolutely adore the Micro series, you guys, and one of these days we're definitely going to be talking about that show as well. But man, that one episode where Mace Windu is just punching all the super battle droids with just his fists and just, oh, it was so good. It's one of those episodes that makes you go, oh, okay, that's why Mace Windu is like the second most powerful Jedi besides Yoda, you know what I'm saying? I do appreciate them connecting the dots even a little bit to the Micro series and having those connections there. When all the Jedi were standing there talking, Obi-Wan and Luminar were standing next to each other. Remember last week when I said that it wasn't going to be so easy to get rid of those worms? Well, I was right. Because the worm enters one of the clones, and then the next thing we know, he's got an entire backpack full of worms. How he came in possession to them all, I don't know. So Ahsoka and Barriss go off on this supply run mission. All the other Jedi are taking Poggle back to Coruscant. The worms end up possessing all of the sleeping clones, so you gotta imagine that's like the majority. The majority of the boys were just trying to get some rest, and here come the worms, and they take possession of them all. Ahsoka and Barriss go to have lunch together because Ahsoka can't sleep. What I did find interesting is when the clones start attacking Ahsoka and Barriss. Two of them show up, Ahsoka and Barriss take them out. Then two more show up, but they kind of play like innocent in it all. Like, oh, wait, what are you guys doing right now? They start getting accused of like, oh, did you order those men to kill us? And they're like, no, we didn't know anything. We heard shots. And they put their blasters down. And it is kind of that moment, right, where it's like, okay, is there a chance that these two clones were telling the truth? Because, like, they walk into the room, they see Ahsoka and Barriss with lightsabers on, two of their boys down. It could have just been like they thought Ahsoka and Barriss did something bad, you know? You never know. Although, when he did say, we should make sure we're in possession of the bridge, that did kind of make me go, oh, maybe he is a bad guy. Because, like a scene before that, the clones end up taking control of the bridge, they kill the pilots. So it's like, okay, maybe there is something to this. And then when they go up there, the clone turns on them. When Ahsoka and Barriss do go up against the clones, the impression that I got from watching this is it felt very Order 66. And I think it's so interesting that they put Ahsoka against the clones so early on. And this isn't the first time that it's going to happen in the show. Like, even before Order 66, when Barriss recommends that they split up, I just sit there like, okay, every time that somebody splits up in, like, not just in Star Wars, but in, like, anything, I feel like splitting up never works. Like, it's a very rare thing that it does. And sure enough, it does backfire on them, because while Ahsoka succeeds in contacting Kit Fisto, Barriss does not succeed because she gets trapped by the clones. When D. Bradley Baker says the line, if there's one thing we clones know is how to stop a Jedi, I'm like, okay, wow, that is, like, very Order 66. So then finally Anakin's able to get in contact with Ahsoka, because earlier on he's like, alright, something's up, and she would have checked in by now. Obi-Wan's like, as you always do. Sometimes I don't think you understand how alike the two of you have become. Anakin says that he's gonna go interrogate Poggle, which, you know what, let's talk about that right now, you guys.
Leave us.
So the minute they show the first shot of Anakin walking, like, towards the prison cell, you already knew that there was a darker tone here. There's just in the lighting of the room, the way, the expressions on his face, the way he was walking, and on top of that, the dark side music playing in the background. The music this whole episode was on point, but like for this moment in particular, it was so good. Anakin just walks to the door, he stands there, and in a very dark tone just says, "Leave us," to the clones, very Palpatine-like. And he goes in the room and he starts with a Jedi mind trick, and, you know, the mind trick doesn't work. The other Jedi, I guess, already found this out according to the protocol droid that's in there. And Anakin's like, "Mind tricks? I don't need mind tricks to get you to talk." And he raises a hand and lifts Poggle in the air and starts choking him. Dark side music playing in the background.
You will answer my questions.
Your feeble
Jedi mind tricks do not work on Geonosians. The other Jedi already learned this.
Mind tricks? I don't need mind tricks to get you to talk.
I will never talk, Jedi.
We'll see about that, Poggle.
Bro, this had to have given, like, Poggle so much trauma. And then imagine in Revenge of the Sith if he, like, did recognize Anakin when he walks through that room and starts killing all the Separatist leaders. Like, oh my gosh. This is really, like, the first big moment in Clone Wars where we see Anakin tap into the dark side. And I think it is something that needs to be done. Because I think what the Clone Wars does so well is it shows off, like, Anakin as a hero. It's very different from what we see in, like, the first two prequel movies. Like, we don't get to see him be this war hero. But I think it's also important to remember what it is that Anakin becomes, and we have to keep planting the seeds in there to be like, all right, hey, yeah, like, you know, obviously this is a great guy and all, but we gotta, like, tease, like, this is what he is going to become. Even though Anakin, in what he was doing it for the right reasons, he was going about it the wrong way, you know? Now, I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of people that think like Anakin in this situation, right? Like, well, all that matters is that we got the way of how to defeat the worms, because later on he goes to the other Jedi and he's like, Poggle told me how to defeat the worms, I interrogated him, and Kiadi's like, well, how did you get him to talk? And Anakin's like, look, I got the information, that's all that matters. I'm sure all the other Jedi looked around at each other when that happened like, what does that mean? But meanwhile, back on the medical frigate, Ahsoka ends up fighting Barriss. They have a couple of jump scares in this episode, and one of them is right when Ahsoka gets off the transmission with Anakin. They, like, turn the camera, and you just see Barriss staring at her menacingly, and it's like, ah!
Barriss, you're back. Were you successful? Barriss? What's wrong? Barriss, no! I'm your friend! Barriss, snap out of it!
But Barriss starts to fight Ahsoka. This is only our second lightsaber battle within this season. The first was in the Holocron episode with Ahsoka and Jocasta Nu, or, well, Kato as Jocasta, you know what I'm saying. Both fights involving Ahsoka. I love how she, like, trips Barriss up and then kicks her in the face as she goes down. Like, that move was sick. She ends up escaping into the vents. Anakin contacts her. The worms are affected by the cold. And then there's another jump scare because one of the clones walks by and Ahsoka has to, like, hide before he sees her. But Ahsoka's got to turn on the good old air conditioning on the ship and just dial it up to, like, -100. And I just remember sitting there like, Ahsoka, you are not in the proper attire to be dealing with the cold right now. But it does work. Like, the clones start to fall down. You can see, like, the worms dying.
There you are. You can't hide from me.
Ahsoka gets to the bridge and tries to contact the station because they're getting to that point where they're going to get there. And Barriss shows up for another jump scare.
We're coming in awfully fast. This is AHSOKA Tano. Can you hear me? I'm shutting down the engines. I'll try to reverse the...
I think this part right here, though, is probably my favorite part of the episode, where Ahsoka and Barriss have like their little encounter on the bridge, and Ahsoka takes one of the pipes that's launching out cold air and just aims it right at Barriss, and Barriss falls over. And there's a slight moment where Barriss is able to gain control of herself again, and she just looks at Ahsoka and says, "Kill me, please." Ahsoka just says, "I can't."
Kill me. Please. I can't.
What a crazy moment. Like, Barriss being able to gain all about herself to be like, look, I don't know if we can stop these things. Like, if these things go loose, a lot of people are going to die. Just end it right now. I'll take the fall. And then because Ahsoka and Barriss have that connection with each other, that bond that they've had since that Battle of Geonosis, Ahsoka she's not going to kill her best friend. Even if they weren't best friends, Ahsoka probably still wouldn't have done it, but just that bond that they have makes it even that much more of a definitive answer. Once Kit Fisto and the clones board the ship, there's just this moment where they walk on the bridge and they see Ahsoka and Barriss sitting there. Barriss is just kind of cuddled in Ahsoka's arms, and I'm like, oh, that's touching. I'll say it again, but that moment in Weapons Factory when the two of them meet, you kind of just had this realization of like, oh, okay, these two are going to be good friends. And this episode definitely showed that as well. I honestly kind of wish, you guys, that we would have gotten more episodes with Ahsoka and Barriss together, especially before season 5. And everything that happens there. Like, I wouldn't have minded a 2-3 episode arc with the two of them going on a mission together, and we continue to see them be the good friends that they are. Maybe we have a situation where Ahsoka is the one who is willing to make the sacrifice play, but Barriss isn't willing to let her do it. But then the episode ends with Ahsoka at the medical station. Anakin's in the room with her. She kind of has a bit of a jump scare, right? Like, oh shoot, what's happening? Where am I? And Anakin's like, all right, it's all right, Ahsoka. It's okay. You're safe. Kit Fisto walks into the room, has a smile on his face. It's not the smile. We're just teasing it. But it will happen one day. Ahsoka wants a word with Anakin alone, and they talk about how Barriss wanted to die, and Ahsoka thought, like, man, should I have been the one to do it? But Anakin reminds her, like, it's your duty to save as many lives as you can. You knew the cold would kill the worms. I'm sure Barriss, when she comes around, she'll realize that you made the right choice. And thanks to Ahsoka's efforts, the clones ended up being okay as well. So yeah, you guys, that is the conclusion to this Geonosis arc. We've talked about it before, but this arc has so many different style episodes involved with it. Like, you have the first episode, which felt like a D-Day invasion sort of episode. Then you had kind of like your typical Clone Wars style battle, you know? And then you had an episode where there were zombies involved. And even this episode as well had a little bit of a horror feel to it. Comparing this to everything that we've seen so far from like season 1 and the first half of season 2, this is definitely the best arc that they've done so far. I think I definitely liked the first 2 episodes better, but I think the last 2 episodes definitely took a turn and I didn't hate it. I think what episodes like this do as well is it continues to develop the character of Ahsoka Tano. She had a big episode, 2 weeks ago with Weapons Factory. And now here she's getting another episode. It's like you feel like you're on this journey with her right now throughout the Clone Wars. And you're seeing this ride play out. And for me, when I was watching this when I was little, I was all there for it. I love this show. So yeah, you guys, I think that's all I've got to say about this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought about this episode, and be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video with others to help support the channel, and I will see you guys next time.
You've cough, isn't it? I've been looking forward to meeting you.
Your reputation precedes you, General. Reputation of a coward and a murderer.
Murderer? Is it murder to rid the galaxy of you, Jedi filth?